Something is definitely coming, and the USDA just did this. I'm gonna go deep into the plan though, because a lot of people definitely ain't talking about what I'm about to go into. If you alive, say you alive. What's going on? I appreciate you for tuning in here. You can see US Gov to drop millions of flies to prevent flesh eating maggots. US will soon drop millions of flies. You can see that's from Fox News confirmed. Then you go to USDA.gov. We got the new screwworm domestic readiness response. We're about to talk about that. And it's already declared an outbreak. You look at July 17, 2025 on USDA.gov. What does it say down there? Central America and Mexico. They're already declaring this a outbreak, as you can see here. And we got some of the news agency as KWTX10. This is in Texas, one of the local agencies of news. They're talking about how the new world screwworm, as if the Pacific plate breaking was not enough, the floods was not enough, but this is our next scenario at hand. And actually, the floods help exacerbate the situations. They've opened up 8.5 million facility to combat. So the thing is now, it's like we got to combat some worms, and they turn to flesh eating flies, right? And I'm going to be giving you what to do, like what to look out for, and how they actually interact, and what you need to prepare for. And then look on screen right here. This is disgusting, but this was in Honduras where they're showing the new world screwworm. I'm going to have to show you a little bit of the horror story. We'll get into that, but we need to cover what are they doing, why is this happening, and what is this sequence going to look like. And there's some other stuff that's tied into this that just wasn't talked about really, and we're going to find all that out right now. So let's go dive into the new world screwworm on the USDA website. So check this out. USDA recently, 21 million spent in Mexico production capabilities. Renovation of existing fruit fly production facility in Metapa, Mexico at full operation. This will provide an additional 60 to 100 million sterile flies. They send the flies as sterile. On top of the 100 million flies per week, 100 million produced at Panama, United States commission. Hold up, man. They just said 100 million per week. They out of their freaking mind right now. I don't really care right now about anything anybody says this wild. The eradication and prevention of the screwworm facility in Panama, the estimated time completion is 18 months. It's a continued building collaboration with Mexico, contain NWS within the borders, from ongoing daily technical conversations to regular conversations. So they're having all these conversations right now as we speak about what they're going to do next. If you're alive right now and you think this is insane, give me a thumbs up and just say, man, insane or something like that. Let's get this chat flowing so people can come in and more people can get this stream, even if it is late. Now let's move into other things that people are not talking about. I'm going to get you into what you should be looking for. We got the full list, all of it, but you need to look at where it's going though. What's the facility? First, an effective eradication strategy centers on three main pillars: effective controls on the movement of animals. So they shut down border areas to effectively control. Let's look at this right here, the cattle situation. Millions of flies will be dropped over Texas, but it's also going to be something that's part of America. U.S. again halts cattle imports from Mexico over flesh-eating screwworms. So that's how they control the flow of animals here. Now let's move back into this really important list. USDA.gov, strong surveillance systems and public outreach in the use of proven sterile insect technology and exploration of the use of proven sterile insect technology. Additional innovation strategy to defeat the pest. To achieve success, USDA will work across federal, state, local government partners and with the public and private sectors to take the following actions as part of a 5-pronged strategy. Now, getting into the next part here, this is where it starts to take a little turn, because now we got to talk about, okay, where in the United States are you going to be doing this? What's the facility? And What are your protocols? What is this new little thing that we haven't been hearing? Everybody's talking about, oh, the screw worms and they're gonna drop the flies on us. And but let's look at this part right here. This is the official website saying this. USDA is exploring all options to eradicate NWS, includes potential expenditures in new technologies, new science, including possible plans to move forward with the design and process of domestic sterile fly production. Wait a minute. I thought we were talking about just getting some flies to fight some more flies, but now you said new science and new technology. We're gonna release some new technology out here. But yeah, we just saying we fighting flies. Is that contradictory or what, everybody? Let's move a little bit more into this to get deeper into the something strange part. So the sterile fly production facility to complement the new dispersal facility at Moore Air Base, which has also been identified as the proposed location. The facility could boost domestic sterile fly production up to 300 million flies per week. Man, this is the more I read this, because like actually this I scanned over and then live time right now I'm having this interaction with you while we look at this together. Wait a minute, the more, let's read that really quick. It says the Moore Air Base. Let's look at something. What happened with the Moore Air Base? All right, so this is it's in Texas. It says Hidalgo County, Texas. Moore Air Base is an inactive United States Air Force facility located 14 miles northwest of Mission, Texas. It was inactivated in 1961. Whoa, wait, inactivated in 1961. Why was it inactivated? Now, hold up. We need to figure out why was this inactivated. What's going on here? It doesn't tell us really, but all right, cattle fever tick research at the same place. Come on, they stopped doing it in June 1st, 2023. And here's a sign right here showing you USDA Moore Air Base plant protection quarantine. So they messing with the ticks over there. They're messing with the ticks over there. They're messing with the ticks over there. I don't trust all that. So we're gonna get to the little horror stories and everything else about what really happened to people. You'll be able to see that here in just a second. I'm gonna read a little bit more, but they're talking 300 million flies per week, y'all. It said it could complement current production that already exists in Panama, in Mexico, of its own sterile insect facility with USDA's recent 21 million spend, which will add between 60 to 100 million additional sterile flies to our effort. Man, they sent over the estimated 18 months, but they're just talking about way too many flies that they're going to be expanding. This is wild. People asking, what do they eat in the chat? We're going to get to all the different situations here. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about survivability of this. And I get it. Everybody's tuning into the earthquake stuff and all that. And, that's the big thing here. So if you're in the middle of this stream, something did break beneath the Pacific. I put a video out about that and I talked about danger zones. That's in the live chat. You shouldn't watch anything else if you leave the video. That's in the live chat. But here's the next thing we got to look into. You shouldn't even leave yet. How to spot infestation. Let's get this down for you. If you're looking on screen, fly with egg. This is on USDA website. Mass wound. So right there, you can see any warm-blooded animal, including birds, humans with maggots and wounds, other body openings like nose, ears, umbilicus, or genitalia are draining, are enlarging. That's what they look for. They're looking for warm blood and stuff like that. Animals that have recently suffered from a wound or surgical procedure, wounds as small as a tick bites. So again, if a tick bites your animal or a tick bites you, these things could fly in and then come in there and literally try to let's, first of all, I'm gonna go back to that. But before we get to that, you need to see the horror story, because actually they tell you what happened in Guatemala. In Guatemala, they came out talking about this man-eating screwworm and horror show in the hospital. The Telegraph came out with this, and the lady's up there and they're beaming up this torch up her nostril to try to get these worms out. And it's a paper tissue by the nurse. She winches at the pain and she has to blow it out of her nose. So they put a little torch. So they didn't burn her nose and nothing like that, but you can see The screwworms, the neutralized natural population, create an artificial wall across South America, and the vast cattle herds of Texas ranches would be insulated from the flesh devouring pest. And here's one of the dudes who had like 50 of them pulled out of his eye. Quite insane. 50 of them pulled out of his eye. This is getting out of control. That's what somebody says in the chat. This is definitely getting out of control. And then when I do videos about stuff like this, that's highly important. You see 174 people in here, but I really don't care. As long as you share it out, as long as you like it, you get it to other people. Let's talk more now. Since we just talked about the new world screwworm, let's go back into this. You've seen what it do to people. All right, so severe screwworm, malaise on dog's neck. So screwworm infestations are very painful. Animals may become depressed, stop eating, separate themselves from other animals or people. So you need to make sure that you watch out for your animal in those moments. You need to make sure that even you watch out for yourself. If you get an open wound or a bite, if you're in Texas, and then it could expand outside of Texas. So let's not just sit here and be like, oh, it's just in Texas. It's just in Texas, because it'll get some people who come in who think that, oh, if it's just happening in one spot, then I don't need to worry about it, or you're losing everything if you say that. Because they actually said across America when I was reading the articles. Secondary infection may occur in a NWS-infested wound. Left untreated, animals may die within 1 week of being infested. So you have to take care of this right away if that is the case. Egg masses may be around or in the wound. Larvae may be visible around the 3rd day of infestation. And you can see the little things on there. So what happened to the people in Guatemala? And here's what happened to the people in Guatemala when they got infected. And I'm going to show you this on screen right now, because this is what Telegraph said. The majority of the 20 plus admissions in the major city near Guatemalan borders have involved the most vulnerable, frequent people with open wounds, abscesses on their skin. It is a parasite which seemingly preys on the weakest. The screwworm fly needs only land briefly on any warm cavity or wound to lay its eggs and process so fleeting that a person might not even notice. So like a mosquito, it comes very silently in, and you might not even feel it, but you think you would hear the buzzing of a fly. Remember, this is a different species. People saying like, oh, it's just a fly. When I was reading the thing, it was saying that it was a different species of screwworm, the blue one. So let's pull this up really quick on screen. Its size is 8 to 10 millimeters, twice the size of a housefly. You get the reddish orange eyes, metallic blue-green color with 3 black stripes on the thorax. And then some of them don't even look 100% like this one, because they were showing some of it. Again, like I said, there's new different versions of them that's coming out here. And then over the next couple of weeks, they're breeding them already. They're already breeding these other ones. And so now they're talking about how it can harm the cattle industry and the food industry. And so that's most likely going to drive up some prices on beef, especially since the imports and stuff like that, where they're shutting off some of that at the border. And then here what they're doing with the animals is that the animals here, they have a group. Reuters came out July 11, y'all. So Reuters, they said they're trained to detect the smell of screwworms. They said a flesh-eating pest that has infected Mexico's cattle herd and disrupted livestock trade with the U.S. So what we got happening now is dogs being trained, and I'm going to pull that clip up too. We got dogs being trained. I think I have that clip of the dog like going around. So the dog is sniffing. Maybe if you have an animal and your dog is, trained to do all these things, you could do that. And actually the clip, it's not even going to show it. Like I had the clip, but I don't even see it here off in the background for some reason right now. So here's what's happened. South Dakota lawmakers expressed concerns over lab-grown meat and screwworm disease. July 14, 2025. What can we do, though, also after this? I'm going to give a little bit more solutions. SK Ellis says, this place is insane. Yeah, it really is. Ruth says, we are, in my opinion, about to enter the tribulation and zombie apocalypse. That's what's being said in the chat there. That's what people believe about this scenario, because it's really getting very bad. When it comes to the itchiness and everything else, I know my dog, I've used colloidal silver for my own dog when she gets itchy, and then parasitic stuff happen, I use the black walnut. On top of that, Not just that, also the BioShield protocol is the aero cleansing that I created here of parasites that can get on clothes, that can get on your body to detox the lungs. And we talk about lactobacillus for the gut lining, but specifically the outer layers of the skin and stuff like that. The protocols actually go into all these different things for the household as well, because I think during this time there's going to be a lot of people probably going into their houses trying to get these things. If you see these things flying around, and I'm going to drop that link in the chat right now to buy JWTV, the BioShield protocol right now. And if you go and buy it, I'm still going to be live right now, and you want to ask some questions or something like that, you can email sjackson2447@gmail.com. So if you go buy that and I'm still live, if you have a question, I'll just come back and answer it. While we're talking about this New World Screwworm outbreak that technically supposedly emerged across the border about 6 or 7 days ago, and they were like, oh, we got to shut down the border. And they said, this is interesting because they said it was along migrant routes. You know, it's a specific thing for warfare with insects. And the name of that is something, it starts with endo something warfare. You know, I was telling y'all about this, and they actually was warning about this. They were saying, DARPA was like, oh, we're preparing for something to hit the food supply. And then they were saying, like, we got to biologically enhance the food supply. DARPA came out and said this, and that they were preparing for something, some security measures. I think this is what the security measures was about. But did they engineer the whole situation at hand? That's the question we need to be asking ourselves. And you gotta understand that, like during Katrina, there was a huge parasitic uprising and infection and illness. That's why I know about all this stuff. So when we get all these floods happening, when we get all these storms happening, you know, the flies, they're able to lay eggs and stuff like that, and these things can travel for miles. It's just like when a mosquito is in the water. You get the mosquitoes laying the eggs all around the water, and you got to go in your yard and figure out how to, you know, get the water out of certain areas and kill the mosquito eggs, or you have a whole mosquito problem. Well, they can do that with these screw worms because they're technically maggots, but they're going into a laboratory with, and they're going to be doing these operations. They're spending so much money to so-called combat. And that's the whole thing here. It's all about, hey, don't look at us as the bad person. We're just going to go and combat this thing. We're trying to make sure everything is good. While that could be true on one of the flip sides, we know on the other side that there is always something else happening here. Let's read more for people tuning in. So here's what you need to do. Look for the infestation a little bit more. So when the infestation happens, you have the animals have recently suffered from wound or surgical procedures, wounds as small as a tick bite, plus attract flies. You know what? I feel like you probably need to see it even a little closer than what it is right now. So I'm gonna try to pull this up. I'm gonna let y'all listen to the clip though while I'm trying to pull this up, of them talking about this New World Screwworm stuff.
While a screwworm may seem harmless, it is a threat to any living warm-blooded mammal. And if it continues to spread north into Texas, experts say an outbreak would be disastrous for the state. The Texas Farm Bureau is one of many now keeping a close eye on the screwworm, which Tracy Tomasic explains has spread farther and farther north over the last couple of years.
The New World Screwworm is currently about 600 miles south of the Texas border in Mexico.
But what makes this fly such a concern? Dr. Sonia Swiger, an entomologist with Texas AgriLife Extension, says screwworms will lay their eggs on living animals, which then hatch into larvae.
They have these mouth hooks. They've put those down into the tissue and kind of screw, in a sense, their way into the body,
attracting more flies that will lay more eggs, eventually killing the animal if left untreated.
One female lays about 200 to 300 eggs, so we have all these larvae feeding on to this one animal. So it's really that the system shuts down because it's being attacked.
And now that threat is moving right towards the state with the largest livestock industry in the U.S.
All indications say that the pest is going to continue moving north.
However, this wouldn't be the first time the state has dealt with a screwworm infestation.
The last time that they were in the U.S. was in the 1970s, and it took 30 something years to get those get that pest pushed out of Texas and then in through Mexico and down to Panama.
Killing hundreds of thousands of livestock and costing the state millions of dollars.
Today, that moves up into the billions with not only the livestock industry, but also the tremendously important wildlife and hunting industries.
How they eradicated the screwworm then is by releasing sterile male flies to break their life cycle, which is what they're doing now.
All right. So I still been trying to pull this up. Somebody says, I bet they will insist all cows be killed. Man, they better leave the cows alone. All right, so here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna go off really quick. Don't go anywhere though. I'm gonna try to crop this to where you can see it a little bit better. So only thing I got on the other side is I'm pulling some of this up about this screwworm. And hold up, I'm gonna try to put this on screen for y'all. Spreading in Central America, not currently detected in the U.S. It is untreated, impact livestock, people. See, this right here is actually what I was trying to make a little bit bigger so you can get a closer look, but I don't think I can. So we're gonna have to just go with this. While most reports will likely come through veterinarians and diagnosis laboratories, we need everyone to be on the lookout. This disease seriously can have catastrophic impacts on U.S. agriculture and animals. So they're saying here that yes, what I was just saying about how it's going to affect the food supply, it can affect plants and crops, it looks like. So it's definitely some biological plan that they're orchestrating here, whoever's behind this. Again, like I was saying though, the bioshield protocol, like I'm saying, like all of that, having that is the emergency backup plan and supply system for when you're going through these emergencies. You'll have the protocol, you'll have the steps, you'll have the situational aspects of everything that you pretty much need to do, and how to combine certain things. We go through all the educational knowledge on that. We also talk about frequency killing of parasites, which is another huge thing. That's in the chat right now. Like I said, if you want to get that because that's going to be important. Somebody says, watch the water, people. Yeah, watch the water for sure. It's going to be a clear pathway of something that we need to be looking at. We're going to be reporting on all of that. We're going to be reporting on these upcoming situations. We want to try to get some footage on some of the stuff that's happening too. Catnip says, thank you for that. Another person says, all these things are distractions from the bottom line. Where do they want to accomplish? What do they want to accomplish? We clearly know by Agenda 2030 what they want to accomplish. It's the ending of family. It's the ending of the whole structure, the ending of agriculture, ending of you having a farm, ending of all of that. That's what they actually want to accomplish at the end of all of this. We've been studying it for years, just like you've been studying it for years. They also want to create a technocratic dictatorship, meaning that we already had the technical big tech sworn in to the military, showing you that we're going to have tech leaders to rule. And they put that bill in, which under the so-called name of quoted big, beautiful bill, that freaking name, under that bill, the AI was going to have control where senators won't be in control anymore. We read the subsections of all that. We don't have to pull it up again. And so all this is research has been previously done here where we've dived deep into this. And now we're just at the precipice seeing everything play out and everything all evolve at one sequence here. So somebody says, hello, JWTV and family. What's going on, Matt D? Georgia Guidestones were blown up a few years ago. Yeah, I remember exactly when that happened. So over the next course of weeks and months, this is going to be a huge... Oh, I got it, y'all. What they're doing with the dogs, so the dogs are going to smell for these screwworms. And they're doing this because this is going to be one of the other protocols. I got the video clip right here. So yeah, here's the dogs being trained right now to detect the freaking screwworms. This dog looked like my dog, actually. Looks like my dog, Clovey. But yeah, so my big thing is before I was going out, even in 2020, when people were coughing and I knew people were getting sick, and I didn't get sick none of the time, the whole time. This is what I did, my personal experience. I took the colloidal silver and I just put a little bit on my skin before I went out, because I had read the military documents where they were doing that when they go into biological areas. So I only did that though whenever it was a time where the world was at this point where people had lower immune systems. So I wasn't affected. I also would do a small layer around inside of my nostrils and inside of my nostrils. So, and the only thing I really ate during the whole time, my big thing on Mondays, it was red beans and rice, which is a huge immune booster, by the way. Freaking eggs. I wake up on eggs, me and my fiance, and basically with those eggs, it was just, grass-fed eggs, grass-fed, pretty much chicken. And that's my big thing. Like, honestly, it's just simple. Where they try to say, oh, well, cholesterol, all this stuff. If you do more deep research into whole cholesterol nonsense, you'll find out everything. And I was looking at some doctors who was talking about all this, and it's really, eggs are one of the most significant proteins your body quickly gets. I eat meat, yeah, I do. But I'm saying, like, in the morning time, that's what I start my day with. And yes, we have lots of corrupted food supply, everything else. So let's see something here real quick. Yeah, so this scenario right here is definitely another attack, but I'm very glad everybody tuned in here to get this knowledge, because what's going to happen here is that we didn't only just have fog parasites that we exposed earlier in the year. And that was the first line reason why we created the ebook, the BioShield Protocol, because we said, you know what? If there is so many bad things happening in the world, why can't there be an educational solution? Why can't there be a backup emergency book for these scenarios? And here is the Mexico, is it with the governor and president of Mexico or something like that, who basically was talking about the border closing due to the screwworms. So the parasite warfare is another art of warfare. It's not something that we can't defeat. I mean, we got the tools to fight back. The question is, will you use the tools? That's the only question here. The question is not fear. The question is knowledge and education about the situation. And that's what we've been doing through this whole journey. We've all been going through the same things together. A lot of people having issues in their own bodies. And so every time I would get a stomach ache too, which is, you can look in the ebook and find some of the stuff I'm talking about, in the lower gut, black walnut green hole is my thing. And next thing you know, that stomach ache was gone in the lower gut. We're talking lower gut. And it comes after you eat certain foods sometimes. You just never know, and it'll show up. But I'm telling you, every time I do that, gone. Stomach ache gone. And then my thing on that is because something bacterial, and then like parasites as well, could be potentially trying to lay themselves in areas like that. But it starts with this crampish feeling because, like I said, I've dealt with parasites. I know exactly how it is. I've got through the scenario, and that's why it makes all the sense in the world. Evil people are propped up, but the common person doesn't want somebody just in their household trying to create solutions for the world to flourish and us to have this community. And eventually, it comes to real world experience here, because that's the next step to everything. And eventually we'll have to move down that cycle of the line. But you keep God with you, you keep prayer with you, whatever you take. We did the studies. Nobody likes to talk about it, but the scientific research even admits in the NIH that prayer over whatever you have show placebo effects for people where they seen significant drops in certain issues. in their body. And that speaks to the volume of the belief and the power of the mind with prayer. So all this reality that we're dealing with right now is just this big game to them, but it's not a game in our actual soul journey. And so I want to be thankful for everybody who comes here to this channel, whoever tunes in, whoever you're going through, whatever you're going through. And if you support it and you continue to support, I'm thankful for everything you do. So again, BioShield Protocol, you'll find that link in the chat. Go to that. And then again, S Jackson email. So sjackson2447@gmail.com. You have any issues, I'll help you get through those issues, because some people have issues because like the technology for them, right? Like they're working technology that they're not used to working. And I get that too. Other than that, it's really not any issues with buying it. Most people buy it simply easy. You just go there. It's a digital book, comes to your email. You can print it by PDF, and then this read error on Android. Android has read error where you read it. If you click the file and it says it can't open, you get read error. On iPhone, you get iBooks. iBooks, you go and download that. You can read the entire ebook. I encourage you to print it out so you can have it on hand, and you're able to take that and put in your emergency file plan. And tomorrow I'll be on Patreon as well. So much blessings, much graciousness to all of you.